Hello and welcome to another Project Diablo 2 video. I am 7Hawk77, also known as Kordesh, and today we are going to be continuing Lawsuit's power rankings. I'm going to be covering the Fist of Heaven's Paladin. I've played this for multiple seasons, starting with Season 1, and the build is just an absolute powerhouse. Sorry, I'm going to get in some gameplay here. So I don't actually have any of the gear on this character because I quit the league for a little while, and I ended up giving it to Lawsuit, and he did a giveaway, which was fun. But this build is awesome. It's very good at most things. It might not be the best at any one thing, but overall it's a great build because you don't really care about immunities and you can easily get through the, leveling, the LOD content, mapping. With bossing, we'll get into that. It's possible, but it's not the best. But anyway, so we're going to get into the power rankings. For the power rankings, there are a couple different categories that Lawsuit came up with, specifically single target, area of effect, safety, Ubers, gearing ease, and playstyle ease. So we're going to be going over all of these. And first up is single target. So I'm going to try and scroll over to when I'm fighting Belial here. I think it's coming up in a second. Okay, so here's Belial. Oops, sorry. And as you can see, the single target is not bad. You can see I'm kind of chunking this boss. My Merc is very safe. I can just sit here and cast. I have concentration up just to give him some damage, but that's kind of how it goes. It's pretty easy. You just pump Holy Bolts into him. Now, I wanted to talk about this a little bit. The Holy Bolts shotgun, so all three Holy Bolts are hitting my Mercenary and healing him for all three of those hits, and then all three are hitting Belial. Now, you don't have to use Holy Bolt as your single target. You can actually scale the lightning damage on Fist of Heavens and do a little bit better. That being said, I don't recommend that because if you are casting Fist of Heavens, your Merc has no... You're not giving healing to your Mercenary, and then he will die. I think that the best way to pump up your single target is really kind of supporting your Mercenary's damage. So you want a Act 2 Mercenary that just dunks on people, and then you want to make sure he doesn't die by giving him some amount of healing with your Holy Bolts, which are, possibly level like 40, 45 if you have really good gear, and that healing is good enough to just let him kind of face tank and shred bosses. So overall, I'm going to give this single target a 4 out of 10, specifically because if your Mercenary dies, then it's kind of a pain in the butt. If you're spec'd more for the lightning and using lightning facets and conviction, then your single target might be better, but because it's not as safe, you might have to kite and run around, maybe juggle a mana potion or a health potion or pump potions into your Mercenary, and I find those things kind of annoying. So overall, single target, 4 out of 10. Now for AoE, I think the AoE is very good. Let's see if I can find a good AoE pack. This isn't too bad. So AoE on a Fist of Heaven's Paladin is very good. Now there are two mechanics that I want to talk about. The first is shotgunning, and the second is pierce. So shotgunning is when multiple projectiles hit a single target. Specifically, with something like Charge Bolt. If Charge Bolt, spawns 15 bolts, and all 15 of those bolts hit one target, that's shotgunning. Now, what pierce is when you pierce something, whatever projectile hits the target and continues going to hit other targets. Fist of Heavens benefits from both of these mechanics. The way that it works is Fist of Heavens, you will cast the lightning damage, and as that comes down, it will then spawn Holy Bolts for every target around whoever you did the lightning damage to. Now, these Holy Bolts will shotgun and do their damage to everyone they pass through and pierce, so they can hit multiple targets. This means that Fist of Heavens actually scales with the more monsters that exist that you're fighting, the more damage you can do and the more damage it scales. So if you juice up your maps and have like 300 density, I think I did a map, I might be able to showcase one where I did 336 density. It's just super fun, where you just Fist of Heavens, there's Holy Bolts everywhere, and it's just shredding stuff. Now, the only issue with the AoE is when you have about 5 or 6 stragglers, and say they kind of walk around, they might be ranged, and they're just meandering around. If the Holy Bolts can't chain and kind of reach between them, then you have to single target them down. And my build, which is the all-in on Griswold set, the Holy Bolt damage is doing the majority of it from the Fist of Heavens. However, if you went all in on Conviction and Fist of Heavens damage with facets, you could easily pick up those little stragglers, and it'd be a little bit easier. So overall, area effect, I'm going to give it an 8.5 out of 10, specifically because the annoyance of having little stragglers here and there. You know, it's not just like a 1 or 2 poison nova and running on next to the next area, but I believe it is the only skill that scales with the damage scales up with the more monsters that exist, which is really cool. Next up, we're going to talk about safety. This build is about as safe as you can get for a spellcaster. So there's a boss that I'm fighting right there. I'm getting attacked from behind with some ranged monsters. Merc's safe. I'm safe. I've got max block, 1500 life. You know, tons of armor. I got auras. You know, I can activate cleansing. I can activate whatever I need. It's just super safe. I think it's probably the tankiest spellcaster. I am going to give it an 8.5 out of 10 here. It's not a summoner. You don't have stuff that's just body blocking for you. That being said, you easily put things in hit recovery. Your Merc will probably die less than any other character just because of the fact that you could heal it. And yeah, that's huge. So yeah, 8.5 out of 10, very safe. I died very little. I leveled up pretty highly with it, so awesome. Next, we're going to go on to Ubers. Ubers is challenging. I've only tried to solo Ubers, I think, once, and it was because we had a disconnect, and, like, you know, if my friends are disconnecting, then I'm going to have to try and solo it. I don't remember if I completed it or not. However, when I was designing my character, I was generally designing it for mapping, just running around, killing monsters in a map, and that's what I cared about. As far as Ubers, the best way to do it is to group up. You're a Paladin. Auras are incredibly beneficial to your allies. Let that be how you do Ubers. Now, when you are doing Ubers, I find that my role was I would bring a relevant aura. Sometimes that'd be fanaticism. Sometimes it'd be concentration. Sometimes it'd be cleansing. You know, it really depends on what's going on. And your role is to kind of keep everybody safe and healthy. So oftentimes my mercenary would tank one of the Uber bosses, and I would just be pumping damage with Holy Bolt and healing it, and then popping Holy Novas, and sometimes feeding a couple potions into my Merc, depending on what's happening. Overall, if you're trying to solo Ubers, you're going to probably struggle. So I'm going to give that a 3 out of 10. However, sorry about that, got a little bit interrupted. Anyways, yeah, if you're going to try and solo Ubers, then you are going to struggle. It will be difficult, and I would not recommend it. So I'm going to give it a 3 out of 10 on soloing, because I'm pretty sure it's doable. You're just going to have to figure out how to circumvent some of the issues. That being said, if you are going to do it in a group, you're looking at maybe a 7.5 out of 10, maybe 8 out of 10. It's really easy, really with anybody else. Ideally, you'd probably want some kind of summoner, because Holy Nova plus summons is very easy to heal them up. That AoE just like slaps them all. I did it with a Clay Golem character and a Barbarian, and we probably did, I don't know, 20 sets of Ubers, and I don't know if I think we might have failed like one, and that's because we just were playing like idiots. But it was very, very easy, very successful. So as far as gearing ease, this character is very easy to gear up. And the reason for that is because you can start off with, you know, Spirit Sword, Spirit Shield. You have plenty of options. You can Magic Find with it early on. It's powerful enough for that. You don't have to worry about immunities. There's a lot of different ways to gear it. I go all in on Griswold specifically because I think that it is better to get Griswold specifically because of resistances and the cast speed. It also allows you to corrupt for Griswold's like +1 to all skills on pretty much all of the different Griswold set pieces. It also allows you to use skill rings very easily because you have the faster cast rate. So for me, the thing that I care about the most is the Holy Bolt damage from Fist of Heavens, not the actual lightning damage. And in fact, I don't care about that lightning damage at all, because when I target a character, that character is getting blown up anyway because they get hit by the, you know, however many Holy Bolts spawn, they're getting smashed by generally all of them if they're like a big enough character model. So I don't actually care about the lightning damage at all. That being said, if you do, you can absolutely do it. There are other content creators that have done this. A lot of them value being able to teleport. And so, you know, they might have Enigma and teleporting around and using other different rune words. That's not something that I cared that much about. But you just have options. Now, I will knock gearing a little bit because you're playing a Paladin. And Paladin has kind of a weird issue. And that issue is no matter what, you will need combat Grand Charms. I know that's hyperbolic. There's some build that uses some other Grand Charms, but if you find a defensive Aura Grand Charm or an offensive Aura Grand Charm, you probably won't even be able to sell it because it's just, they're not liquid. No one really cares about them. If they do, it's very niche, but you're going to need a full 9 of combat skillers. And to do that, they're not going to be the cheapest. It's going to be annoying because tons of people are going to want them. I was spending like between a Mal and a Gull. Most of them I think I picked up for a Gull, which is not ideal, but yeah, that's the biggest pain point, and you're going to need all 9. So because of that, I'm going to give it a 7.5 out of 10. And the last thing I want to talk about is the Playstyle Ease. This ease, I mean, like, this is definitely a very easy build to play. So in my mind, it has it all. Like, you can charge if you need run speed. You can just zoom around. If you need to teleport, what I do to handle that is I get a Naja's staff on my secondary, and I'll use that to jump gaps. If you don't like that and you hate having to weapon swap, you can easily, like, you can go for the Enigma style build. Like, that's fine. You can kind of make the character how you want to play it. You can swap to a bunch of different auras when their circumstance benefits you, or you can say, hey, I don't want to do that at all. Run around with Redemption, and Redemption will give you life and mana back the whole time. You have no potion management, really. So it's really simple, easy to play. As you can see, like right now, my mana dips down to 130%, 120, and as soon as Redemption pops, boom, it goes back to full. It is awesome. Generally, it's just one button. You just have Fist of Heavens, and you're just clicking on monsters, and they melt. It's very easy to play. So I'm going to give this a 9 out of 10. My only knock against it would be the fact that since you're constantly having to left click, and it's a name lock skill, name lock meaning you have to click on a monster for that to happen, whereas something like a Frenzy on a Barbarian's right click, you can hold it, and it'll just run and hit whatever's closest to you. You have to continually click. And because of that, once you're playing for 200 hours in a league, your clicking finger on your left mouse can get kind of tired. And if that's my only complaint about the build, like, yo, it's very easy to play. So if we combine all these different scores, we get to the overall. And the overall, we have a 6.75 out of 10. And I think that's a very fair score and pretty much exactly where I thought it would end up. It's not the strongest build in any aspect. It doesn't rip through maps at light speed. It doesn't, blow up bosses in milliseconds. It doesn't kill Ubers very easily. It's, there are some hiccups here or there, but overall, like, there's really no build that's perfect in my mind. And with this, if I was to recommend a build to a new player, it would probably be this if they wanted to play a spellcaster. Not having to worry about immunities, having flexible build path with enough power to farm early content like pits or the Chaos Sanctuary, and easily have a gearing path that makes that's not difficult to follow, which will get you into maps. It's a great class for what it is, and I hope that a lot of people enjoy playing it as much as I have. So that's it for the Fist of Heavens Paladin. If you have any other questions about it, feel free to leave them in the comments. I have multiple videos on build guides, and so if you have any questions about it, feel free to reach out to me, and I hope you have a great day.